We'll do it really quick at the end.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gents.
We are back in the States.
Back in the States.
Like magic.
Doing well, well. This is Curtis.
And this is Jordan.
Podcast where we talk about anything, everything we want.
And
called
it's called Testing Normal.
Boop, 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 boop. So, this has been quite a eventful week.
It has.
For the world, I guess you could say.
For the world, for us.
Yeah, for us and for the world.
Our families this weekend.
Oh, boy. My goodness.
Being all kids and no wife around.
So, basically, shortly after Jordan and I got back from Europe.
A day
after our esposas decided to go on a ladies' trip, which they should. It's good for them. Hang out with some ladies. And so they had the weekend away at the coast. And, while the mommies are away, the kids should play.
And they did.
Got
Although
crazy.
yours got sick. And
stuff. My kid ended up with pneumonia while their mommy was gone.
Well, okay, that wasn't on you. He got that with her.
Yeah.
So that's on her, not you.
Yeah.
Because there's a ton she could do to prevent that.
Right. Well,
at least you caught it.
Yeah.
That was good.
Exactly.
Good on you.
But it would be kind of silly if I didn't.
Nothing crazy happened for me and my kids, but my kids are older, so now when my wife leaves, it's not so bad. I can tell them to go to bed and they can put themselves to bed.
Yeah, my kids can't put themselves to bed, but they're at least they're to the stage where they can poop and pee on their own.
Right.
That's delightful.
2 of them can.
Yeah, 2 of them can.
I guess the third one can poop and pee on their own. You just have to clean it up.
It's a lot more cleanup.
Yeah.
A lot more cleanup.
Yeah, for sure.
There's the occasional wiping assistance that takes place with
and it's probably super clean too.
With younger ones. Yeah. Super. But anyways, guys, this has been a crazy week. I'm sure everybody on the news has been hearing about the corona scare and virus, and we just want to talk a little bit about that, kind of broach the subject.
Yeah.
Guidelines and information about it is changing every hour, essentially.
Yeah.
But
and we were in Italy, and
when
we were hearing about it.
Before we left for Italy, there was basically no cases of the coronavirus in Italy.
Right.
And then
I think there was one.
There was one, but it was in it was
obscure
case, but it was nothing really to be even mentioned.
Right.
And then 2 days after we got there,
the next day actually, because we woke up. Wasn't it when we woke up from our nap?
It was. I guess it was the next day we woke up from a nap.
Yeah.
When
we got
on
there,
the
we napped
news
because we had been flying for 19
and
hours.
It said, "Hey, just so you know, the CNN reports half of all of basically northern Italy had been on lockdown and shut down because overnight they came back with
it was
positive.
A few different cities, one of them being Milan.
Yeah, 300 positive cases of the coronavirus overnight. So we were
overnight they
crap.
found them. Clearly they were there before. Now, were these people? You've said before, you have to be feverish in order to get kind of a positive, not a false positive, or false negative.
The tests are evolving as well.
Okay, good.
So at some earlier on, and even earlier on, they had concern that they would get false negatives,
right? Unless
the person had active fevers, because the viral load might not be high enough, basically, to test positive.
Right. It is chilly in here. My nose is running.
So nowadays, their tests are still evolving, but they're still not great.
Right. But they're better.
So when we left Europe, they were still allowing people in the U.S.
But they were asking everybody. When we got to Amsterdam, they asked everybody where they'd
been to Milan, I think.
No, just China.
Just China.
China, and I heard them ask about Milan as well.
So
there were some checks.
We flew home, and we had some reservations and concerns. We're like, man, are we going to be able to get home? Are we going to get stuck here?
Yeah, you were wanting to try to leave early, and I'm like,
I was thinking,
we're already here.
What's going to happen here?
What's worse is going to happen?
So since that time, basically, the coronavirus has now kind of rapidly spread, not only from Italy, and basically it's in every continent except for Antarctica. It's on every continent except for Antarctica.
Why are they slacking?
And it's interesting because we live in Oregon, and the virus has kind of been Oregon, West Coast predominant at this point. So, which kind of makes sense because we're kind of the closest port to Asia.
I suppose, yeah. There were people coming through, with Amsterdam and stuff.
So, what was interesting though, when we got home, I work in healthcare field, and I was thinking oh man, is this something should I get tested just to be safe? So
can you?
When I was at work, I actually called the epidemiologists for our health department.
Yeah.
And I called them and I said, hey, do you guys want me to get screened? What do you want me to do here just to be safe? Because I'd had a cough before we went to Italy.
Yeah, you did.
And then
you've been kind of fighting it for like a week or two.
Oh, yeah. It's like basically I got some bronchitis. Yeah. So I've had it for about 2 weeks now, a little over 2 weeks. And I'm like, I've been in Italy. Do you want me to get screened? And they said current guidelines, as of Friday night, was they would not test anybody unless they have an active fever with a lower respiratory tract infection that requires hospitalization.
What?
Yeah.
Why? Why the...
So currently...
Is it cost?
On Friday, and I think this is...
Because our healthcare system won't cover it?
No, on Friday...
That would be ironic.
At that time, the state did not have their own testing kits.
Oh, here we did.
So
okay.
We have to send tests to the CDC to get tested.
Which they're like just right around the corner.
So... the CDC had strict guidelines, and the state, the health departments, in order to allow these individuals to get tested.
Do they just have Atlanta, or do they have other?
No, they have several. They have a couple,
okay.
But you still have to send it out of state.
Right.
So starting tonight, Sunday evening, the guidelines might change because they have now sent to all the states individual test kits.
Oh, cool.
So hopefully they'll be able to be more expedited and decrease the qualifications to get testing.
Yeah, I'm serious.
But yeah, it's kind of erupted. Washington State
has the
been
death
blowing
rate, like the mortality of catching it, has it gone up?
What is the mortality rate?
Yeah.
So
it was like at 1.
No, it's closer to from what they suspect between 3 and 4% right now.
Oh, okay, that's
closer to 4%.
So
death
you
rate.
have a 4 in 100 chance, or
right. But the question is they don't really know how many people that it could be lower, but they're not sure how many people have active infections that aren't symptomatic. So right now, say they know 100 people have it, but really there could be 500 people that have it, and they just don't have the symptoms.
Right, and then they may not ever have any
death
harsh
rate,
symptoms.
if it was only 4 people that died, would be dramatically lower than 4. It'd be closer to the influenza rate.
Right.
But right now they just don't know. So like in Washington, they've had several positive cases. They've had a nursing home where they had a couple.
That was in Washington.
That was in Washington, yeah. Where they had 2 people, a person that worked in the nursing home.
How would they
test
catch
positive?
That? Oh, because they were outside. I was going to say in the nursing home. How did they travel to get infected?
Well, and actually, I don't think that person had traveled to Asia. The person that had been in the nursing home. Yeah,
there was another one that was like that too in Italy. I thought that they had not been, but they could have been cross-contaminated with someone else.
There's been 2 cases in California. And guys, we're talking about this because it's relevant to the current day. We're not trying to scare anybody, but we are trying to be,
obviously we were in Italy,
current.
And it was a little bit of concern. And we should we say who we hung out with?
Oh, yeah. So we hung out with these 2 Asian individuals from Thailand. Very nice guys.
Yeah, super nice.
But they had the day prior been in Milan.
Yeah.
And at this big fashion show.
Got out the day before
Versace
it was
or
closed
something.
Down.
Yeah.
No, so granted, like as I think about that, like we friended them on Instagram with our Testing Normal account, and seeing it, they're very affluent.
Very affluent, and multimillionaires.
Yeah, like have a lot of money. The people that they would be around, more chances are going to be
probably
higher chance of being fine.
Probably, yeah.
They're not, traveling to the smaller towns of China or whatever and coughing and getting coughed in their faces or something. They were sitting in the front row of the
Versace
the Versace fashion show in Milan. Like
these dudes were rolling.
They're around people that are pretty
wearing
well
like
protected.
Gold robes. We were on this tour of the Vatican. These guys were wearing
oh my gosh,
these like pretty classy but also over the top gold robes.
Entirely
and, like,
over the top. Everything was gold. And it made me think like
Versace
I'm not a big fan of the color gold.
Like, but it kind of is an Asian,
it is
Southeast Asia kind of thing.
But I'm like, it doesn't look bad. Like their sunglasses and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
At first I was like, are these just fake? These like Folkleys, but like these gold ones. And after we talked to them a little more, I was like, these are not fake. These are probably like $1,000 sunglasses.
Those dudes were dripping.
And wearing like a pink backpack. Brave. Maybe not from where they come from.
Yeah, it's actually we were a cultural thing, right? Probably.
Yeah, but super nice.
Yeah.
So
anyways, yeah, hopefully they're doing good. But, as we talk about this kind of coronavirus and outbreak, it is something, even with precautions, I would wager, from what I've seen thus far, I don't think it's something we're going to be able to avoid. I think it's going to be a fairly widespread outbreak in the West Coast.
It's already spread further than H1N1, right? Or
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, not so.
Not to amount
it's
of
spread
people.
farther than SARS and MERS.
Okay.
Yeah, which are different coronavirus type infections. Okay. Yeah.
Is H1N1 was not though.
Right, that's different.
It's different.
Yeah, that's like there's a H1N1
I saw it on
flu.
like there's a subreddit that's awesome. It's called Data is Beautiful, and it just like shows different ways to look at data. And one of them was how far on maps that different viruses have spread, and it showed. I don't even have a link for it. I don't remember where it was, but it was pretty cool.
H1N1 is like influenza A,
right?
Which is all over the world, basically. So the current kind of recommendations that have changed from our government has been now they have said we should restrict flight from Italy.
Oh gosh.
Well, actually, and I take that back. So Delta is canceling flights starting. They're going to finish a certain number of flights in and out of Italy, but they're restricting certain ones now.
Oh gosh.
And
it was delightful for us, like going in and coming out. Like I would say the Rome airport, like outside of this, and maybe this is a conversation that we can have further on as we kind of recap in this episode. But it's an amazing airport.
It's beautiful. And it's easy to get in, easy to get out. The lines are great. The security checkpoints were fantastic.
Yeah,
smooth.
It was like having TSA pre-check going through that place. And granted, it wasn't super crowded, but it was still very, very efficient. They were kind. The guys were nice.
Very cool.
They were like kind of like joking with us at the security checkpoint.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, just you need to just grab a second one of these." And then I was like, "My hat," and he's like, "Yeah, your hat." And I was like, "That was my next guess." And he kind of chuckled. Like it wasn't like the U.S. where they're just like, "Oh, look at you, you're a human being and you want to fly in a plane." Well, you're a moron.
So when I was going through security checkpoint back into the U.S., my guy was super cool.
For the passport checks or mine was fine. He was super easy. I was talking about coming like in Italy's security checkpoint to get into the airport.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah, they were just like, you know what?
So overall, guys, I would highly encourage anybody, if you're going to go to Rome or Italy in particular, traveling, late February, early March is
seriously
the time to go.
It was amazing. And due to climate change, it's way warmer right now.
It's warm. It's nice. Not that much rain. And the tourism is like almost like
it's
at the lowest of the year.
It's very minimal. Right. We had a friend that was looking at some of our pictures in the Vatican, and he's like, this is unreal. I couldn't walk. Like it was push and shove to get through different spots.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was just like we could wander around.
Stretch out.
And
so
look at different things close. And
some of the things that kind of impressed upon me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was it like before you say that? Like, what was like the highlight of this trip?
That's hard to just summarize it in one thing. I think I'd have to say sentences.
Okay.
So highlights of the trip are I thrive and I love adventures and traveling.
Yeah.
And so being able to do that with and being able to go to such a historical place.
Yeah.
And see so much overwhelming history and architecture that is kind of almost like one of the most monumental things in our civilization.
Right.
Seeing the construction and seeing the way these buildings are built, the sheer size of them, and the kind of like the impressive thought that was put into how these buildings and these massive structures were developed, versus just, in the U.S. or in certain places you see just these massive skyscrapers that are just metal and don't have that much longevity to their appeal, and for me at least. And then you see strip malls and all this stuff. It's like it looks like it's just so well detailed and planned over 2,000 years.
Yeah.
And so that was very impressive. I love the culture. I love the style. I love the kind of the cobblestones walking through the streets, being able to just go get a coffee out your front door. It's just a very impressive.
Which, I mean, you could do
and comfortable
say in Portland or
environment.
Seattle or whatever, but it was a little different. It felt almost like homey.
Exactly, I was going to say, homey.
Yeah, it wasn't like there was no bustle. There was crowds and there was bustling, but it wasn't. It was as though it was familiar.
Yeah,
like everyone was like, okay with it.
And the people were surprisingly chill.
Very, and very, very nice and accommodating.
When I've been to several different countries, internationally, traveled a bit, and France has been one of the most kind of anal cultures that I've encountered.
Oh, really?
Kind of the least welcoming cultures, but Italy was a lot like Spain. The people
really?
were very nice, very engaging, very willing to help you and talk to you.
Yeah.
They weren't like judgmental about like when you spoke English to them. Like they were like welcoming of you speaking
I think that
English.
they almost were like, oh, cool. I can get some good practice or something here.
Yeah. Whereas in France, I've gone up to people and talk, and they're like, no, speak French.
Oh.
Like they're like very rude about it.
What was like our taxi driver coming out of Pompeii because we were in a rush
Yeah.
to get out of there. He was like wanting to speak. You could tell. He was like, I speak English because of, and he had been engaged to an American girl back in the day, and it didn't work out. But that's why he learned English. And we're like, man, you speak really well. And he even told us like, you don't need to learn another language. Everyone wants to learn your language. Just everyone needs to learn your language. So just do it. Or you don't, you know.
Yeah.
But I think he was excited to talk to us just because we were engaging.
And also, I want to say, Jordan, you did such a good job on this trip, bro. This was Jordan's first international trip.
It was.
He had never traveled.
Well, I've been to Canada, but that's not international.
Yeah, and Canada doesn't count as a country.
Count, no.
So, like, this is the first
They have weird money.
I'm just kidding, Canada. I'm just kidding. We love you guys and your syrup.
Yeah.
And
your pine cones and your moose.
your pine cones. No, but for, like, first time out of the country, like, when I go out of the country and if I don't have my wife and my kids, like, I like to just get stuff done and get tasks and, like have, like, efficiency, but also, like, have, like, I like to enjoy the moment. I like to be able to spend when we need to spend. But Jordan did great. Like, he was the first time out of the country. He didn't seem overwhelmed. And there's a couple times where you're like, what is happening right now? Where are we going? What's supposed to happen?
Most of them were right after I woke up.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't understand.
Or like when we were in the train station, there was a couple times I think kind of like you're like, what's supposed to happen right here? Like, are we supposed to walk?
Okay, so let me explain the whole train thing. Because remember, we were like, I had read everywhere, like, stamp your ticket. You can get fined or whatever. So we run up and we try to stamp, and the first stamper we were trying to get through wasn't stamping our tickets. You remember that when we first got there?
Wait, at the airport?
Yes.
Okay.
Leaving the airport.
Yeah.
And so then, as we're trying to, we finally get him stamped, and we look up, and the train we're stamping him for just like
starts leaving
and shoots out, and we're like, well, we're not getting on that train. So then we're like, is this train? Well, they had all had the readers on them saying where they were going. And that was when I was nervous, and you were a little bit too, if you be honest. Like, we walked up to the guy. We're like, "Does this go into the Rome terminal?" And he's like, "Yeah, get on."
Right, but he did. He also had. He also kind of was like nonchalant, like
just like nonchalant,
whatever.
like get on there. And the train never lit up and told us what it was doing.
It didn't say.
So we're just like, well, the doors are closing.
That's one critique I did have of Italy's train system is that obviously it's head over heels, light years above anything we have in the United States, like significantly.
Well, the main station was labeled a lot
but
better.
they didn't have the best labeling system. Yeah, like even when you got to more of the rural trains, they didn't have the best labeling, saying you're at this station and then you're going to the next station.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if it's because that one was a commuter train.
Mm-hmm. More local.
It was more local and everything, so people would know like the schedule. So like, I don't know the bus schedule when I get on a bus. I'm expected to have looked up my
stops and everything
and stops.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't. Like we noticed, like it didn't light up and say what stop you're stopping at. It was just like, oh shoot, where are we at? Okay, we've got 14 stops to go.
Spain, France, Switzerland, they all have had all those trains that I've been on had that.
The light,
easy.
Yeah, which even like Portland has that.
Now, what about you, man? What were some of the things that most impressed you, or that you felt like this is amazing?
Just the sheer size of things. Like, I think it was surreal to be walking down the street and like be touching a wall that's like 2,000 years old, and it's just
totally.
But probably one of my favorite things that I was just enamored with was the trees in Rome. And I kept like I was just like, these things are amazing. And what's funny is I was showing my wife and kids pictures when I got back, and Haley's like, "What are those trees? Those are amazing." And same thing as I did. I was like, they're called umbrella pines in our language.
Yeah.
And they were they were just cool looking.
Yeah.
The way that they had them and the way that they were
umbrella. What were they called?
Umbrella pines.
Umbrella pines. Yeah. So umbrella pines in Europe are these like pretty. Well, they kind of like they sound. They have these kind of no limbs or branches on the bottom portion of them, or the mid portion, and then at the very top, it's just perfect kind of pine umbrella.
They provide really, really good shade.
Yeah,
and like protection from the elements and stuff. And it was amazing. But just every turn you made, they were like, "What is that? Like, what is that?" If I had a week to just walk around and just see the little secret things that are there.
Yeah.
Because they'll just be in the dead center of things. Like the Spanish Steps, like when we went there that night and just walked up them, it was in the midst of a city. Like it's not like our parks are very distinct and we walk off and they're off in this other area.
Or you have to drive off.
Yeah, it's like part of what they do in everyday life.
So the proximity to the massive structures and very beautiful architecture and how they all are within a central location is very, very cool.
It is, and it's very unique, I think. There might be some other places in the world where it's like that, but they just like our guide kept saying, it's like they just build on top because that's the space they have. Like, and so it took them 20 years to run their subway because they kept running into old things that were still under the ground that they didn't realize were still there.
Also, what was interesting is that when we were touring the Vatican, Jordan discovered it was their own private. He hadn't known that it was a private nation.
I didn't know.
Independent nation. Yeah, the Vatican.
Yeah, like it's the smallest state in the world.
Yeah,
like,
but it was interesting to me the sheer overwhelming wealth.
Yes,
that the Vatican state has.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Very, very baroque. Baroque meaning like extravagant.
Right.
Kind of architecture. And to think about how basically the entire Catholic faith funnels their wealth into those individual states.
It was cool looking. It provided a good spot for us to go and see. But that's kind of what I was thinking the whole time. I was like, they've been doing this kind of art and type of stuff for a while, which, to their credit, has pushed a lot of that stuff along too. So it actually has given back to the world in a sense. Even some of their structures that they made.
Well, it's made Rome a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
or Italy.
I mean, you gotta look at it a little bit from that perspective. But the sheer size of like St. Peter's was like.
St. Peter's Basilica was the dome was Colossus.
Anybody
out there that's watching this, if you've seen it, you know what we're saying.
Yeah. I was telling someone this morning. I was like, to explain it, like it was like if Vegas remade this, they wouldn't make it bigger. Right. They've already made it as big as it can be.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as big as likelihood. Yeah. And one thing I was surprised with during the tour of the Sistine Chapel, I think you did too. I think I was a little surprised by the size of it. I think I had anticipated,
it's kind of small.
Yeah, an overarching larger structure on the inside.
Right. But it wasn't. It was.
Right.
It's a decent sized room.
It was a very decent sized room, but for one person painting all that is impressive.
Especially in 4 years. Like I don't think I could paint that in 4 years if it was all one color. Like.
Yeah. Ooh, I want to give a shout out to Dom Bennett, one of my buddies I went to college with. He apparently has been to St. Peter's as well.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. He's a cool dude. Cool dude. He's got some mad pipes on him. Kind of like a professional singer as well. Cool dude.
My kids now, because I showed them the picture of the Holy Door, the one that only opens up every 25 years.
Oh, is it 20 years? I think it's 20.
That's 25 because it opened in 99 and it's going to open in 2025 again.
Oh.
It closed at the end of 1999.
Okay.
And so it will open up. It's because it's the year. It's the Jubilee. So it's 25. Anyway, so my kids are like, we go back in 5 years so we can go in the Holy Door.
It. Take them back, man. Well, it absconds all of your sins. So you can do whatever you want right now for the next 5 years.
It's true.
And you can,
it's done.
Get cray-cray. You walk through that door, boom, all of your sins are forgiven.
Yeah.
Also, they had said when
crosses.
you're in the Colosseum, there's these little metal crosses, and if you kiss the crosses, your sins are forgiven for 2 years? Was that it?
No, it was like 120 days. It was a weird...
Your sins are forgiven for the past 120 or in the future 120?
I don't remember.
But I mean...
I need it to go way further back than 120 years.
As far as like
120 days,
practical approaches to religion, I kind of like that. Like... okay, no, this makes sense.
No, I like this. Just A plus B equals C. Like,
I need my sins forgiven. I need to get to Rome. I need to kiss some metal crosses, and my sins are gone. Boom. It's very efficient.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Trip to Rome.
Rome. You also, but I mean, you have to pay for it. I mean,
it's true. You pay your penance.
Yeah, you pay your penance, and then boom, you're good. Now you have to really think about it though, because if you're walking through those doors at St. Peter's,
we talked about this. We were like, we should start a religion. It seems to be very lucrative.
Oh my gosh, it is.
At least some of them. I know that not all of them are. That's being very general, but this one was definitely lucrative.
Yeah, very lucrative. But I mean, that's what Scientology is too, right?
True. Yeah.
Which I would like to see Scientology compete with St. Peter's.
I think Basilica. I heard it was a Martin. It was Martin Short bit where he's like, Scientology is like where you go out into a desert and look at the sky and then write a big check to somebody.
Ooh, that's funny. Yeah. But anyways, and then Pompeii. Pompeii was astonishing.
It was
how developed that city was.
Yes.
I had no clue. Like I envisioned basically
or the size.
So I had envisioned before I went to Pompeii that it was going to be this
I like how you're closing your eyes
larger.
And envisioning
yeah,
it.
I'm going to close my eyes. It was this larger kind of open field at the base of a mountain, and it was not. It was going to have like little like pots all over and like people laying on the ground in ash form.
Right.
And the it couldn't be farther from that. It was these massive, not massive, but a very impressively large city.
Yeah.
With like 4-story tall buildings.
Some of them were close
walls,
to walls. I would say maybe 3.
3.5 maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But they're tall floors.
Super defined artwork, like on the walls, very ornate.
Yeah, and the floor work it was all like Rome architecture.
Yeah, and it was over like 2,200 years old or something like that.
Yeah,
like
it got covered in 717.
No, it got uncovered in 17 something, right?
Right, but they think that Pompeii covered it in 700. 70 B 70 C 70 current era.
Oh
my gosh.
Yeah.
Because that was even further.
Yeah.
Not a lot further, but yeah.
So, yeah, they ended up uncovering it because it was basically covered in ash in 17 something.
And pumice.
Which,
if you guys don't know what pumice
preserved
is.
All
pumice
the walls.
is amazing. It's floating rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super cool.
That stuff. We have some of that stuff in Oregon. You can hike and find it.
So it covered the city, and that's why it preserved all this stuff. So you're able to go through and walk through and see, like they have them mostly covered in gates and like these cases. But
a lot of the roofs are knocked down.
People that were, formed during the hot.
I was kind of surprised. A lot of those are. I'm not surprised. I guess I envisioned that you could like walk up to a room and see somebody have where they were found, but they preserve those things and bring them over to another area.
Yeah. But I think with Pompeii, the other thing I was kind of impressed by is it seems like human culture hasn't changed that much in over 2,000 years.
That was what shocked me.
The way that they had their civilization set up. I was like, dang, they're us.
Yeah. They had streets and signage and bigger streets and smaller streets and fountains with that guy with the massive penis.
Yeah, well, there's several of those. Yeah. It's like they're not afraid of it, man. Just let it free.
Let it hang out. It was like, well, you had taken a picture. You're like, this is a very what did you say? It was. You said something like it's the size does not match the size of this figure. Like it was
disproportionate.
Yeah, very very disproportionate. I'm like, well, it's a fountain. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah,
and
I didn't grasp it.
You like zoom in. You're like, oh, it is a fountain. So like the fountain was the dude peeing. Like which we have today. Like people have those as like joke fountains. Like one by my parents' house where it's just a kid like peeing into a bird bath.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh my gosh, they were doing like the same things. Like
it was crazy. So, but we basically traveled every day, walking, hiking around, 8-ish miles a day of just walking.
7 to 8 miles a day.
And then, so half of our trip, we did this entire from Oregon to Italy and back was a total of 4.5 days.
Something like that. But we gained some time and then lost some time when we came back.
Yeah. So basically 2 days of traveling and 2 days in Italy.
Yeah. Going there was a lot shorter.
Which was really hard on the circadian rhythm.
Oh my gosh.
Adjusting.
We did a good job though. I think we did a pretty
planning
good job. I was tired when I got back, but I wasn't like messed up in time. Because we stayed up in Amsterdam pretty much most all the night and then went to sleep on our leg home. So it put us on almost the same as having fallen asleep.
Also, I want to give a shout out to KLM Airlines. They were fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
They were fantastic. KLM, tons of leg room, delightful. It's like a Dutch airline.
It was ridiculous. It was like stepping back in time and being treated courteously.
Yeah, they have a hands up on the U.S. airlines for sure.
Yeah, by far. When we got back into the KLM was the partner for Delta that we had booked. When we got back and got onto a Delta plane, it was like being kicked in the teeth when we got on that plane.
Yeah,
they were like, "Do you want some food? You can buy it." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, no, I really don't want your food anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me. But
KLM's food was delicious too,
and theirs was yes.
Yeah, it was like I don't even know what it was. It was some type of like cheesy
meatball
wrap thing.
Yeah.
And then...
Well, the first one gave us a little wrap just on a tiny little leg to Amsterdam, which was pretty good. You're like, this is actually good.
Yeah.
And the international ones all gave you like a sanitary...
The other thing I was going to say, the breakfast in Italy, I really appreciate every country's different breakfast and food trends. But with the breakfast at the hotel, I liked that it wasn't just a bunch of big French toast and pancakes.
Yeah.
It was...
There was some
deli
meat
meats,
and
cheeses, cucumbers, not avocados. Not cucumbers. Kiwis.
Yeah, kiwis, apples,
and then
bananas.
a couple like croissants and
like
things.
some like Greek yogurt.
Yeah, but I really liked that approach to breakfast. Like it was a less heavy carb
aren't we
load.
kind of like one of the only countries that like has a defined food set that's for breakfast?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like that would be a typical kind of stereotypical Italian breakfast, maybe. Like it was
meat, for them,
cheese.
yes.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like here we have breakfast foods, quote unquote.
Oh.
And so a lot of countries, it's kind of the same thing. It's like what you had the night before or whatever. Like
maybe, yeah. Yeah, I feel like that style would be a much healthier style. I like the way that they walk everywhere to get to places. I like the food is kind of more of a light. You eat several meals throughout the day, but it's like a lighter meal. Yeah. But you have access to food easier. Like you don't have to go to Costco to get food. You don't have to.
I never felt like I never felt stuffed ever there.
Yeah.
And I never felt really hungry. Like
yeah.
I was like, yeah, I should probably eat now because we're gonna have a few hours here. We got this, whatever, and we just stop, grab something, and take off. Yeah. My family was giving me a hard time for not eating pasta while we were there.
Yeah, that's.
And we had this discussion when we were there. I'm not a big pasta fan. Like I don't eat it ever. Yeah. I don't miss it. I never really liked it when I would eat that kind of stuff. Like
but we had pizza for almost every meal.
That's true, but it was good.
It was good.
But I wouldn't have given that up to just go eat pasta that I'd not.
Well, the other thing is that the pasta required like a long sit down meal.
Yeah, and we didn't have that.
We didn't have that time. But also, it was like Jordan and I aren't like we don't need to sit down and have dinner with each other. We want to see the sights. We have things to do. We want to record these
let's walk
things.
And talk. I don't need to sit across and stare into your eyes.
If we had taken our wives, like we would have had nice sit down meals, and we would have had
at least
more,
one
longer. Yeah, we would have had more like
or
slower
to one
pace things, right? But this was kind of more of a mission, and it was kind of like task, which was nice because we had a lot to get through. Yeah.
A lot to get through.
Guys, so that's kind of our little summary of Europa. It's fantastic. Do we want to do a quick little review of some products?
Yeah, let's do it.
Got a couple little products we're going to throw at you guys real quick that we got some people wanting us to review, so we're going to throw those at you real quick. Jordan's going to throw these two, and I'll do these two real quick.
Oh, yeah, we can... So one of the bigger white box we can both kind of feel and give our...
The first one I'm going to throw at you guys here. This was invaluable on our trip. These are basically like battery packs, right?
Which we didn't have this one for our trip.
This wasn't the specific one we had, but
I had two and I never recharged them.
I would recommend... No, one of them I recharged several times.
Yeah, but no, you didn't. Remember how I said...
Not fully.
You put it on there for it was on there for maybe a half hour. That battery takes about overnight to charge.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you didn't actually charge it.
So getting a battery pack like this is really nice when you're doing international travel.
They're amazing.
Because a battery pack essentially frees you from the restraint of where do I find an outlet when I'm on an airplane? Where do I find an outlet when I'm in the airport? Where do I find an outlet if my hotel... or if we're walking around the city, like you just have this.
Well, we had
extra power
the
pack.
7-hour or 8-hour tour.
Yeah.
And halfway through when we had lunch, I went back and grabbed my battery pack because my phone was getting low from taking so many pictures.
Yeah.
And I just was charging it while we walked around.
Yeah. So you can just get a little battery pack. This one will charge your phone like 4 times.
Yeah.
Which is way more than enough for an entire day.
Right. The one I had
you can get one for like $20, $30.
I think that one was 30.
Yeah.
And it's got some cool little features.
I would recommend it. This is a Sanog battery pack. But if you guys are going to be doing travel, or even if you're hiking, you're doing some type of trip, camping, battery pack, they're easy, lightweight, put in your backpack. You don't have to worry about extra
I keep them
charge.
in my bag because if I have my kids with me and I need them to stay quiet for a bit and I put them on like a phone or something like that, I just throw them on a charger because they'll always complain that the battery gets below 98%.
Totally. What do you got there?
This is a battery-powered alarm clock.
Dope.
And I love the size of this thing. It actually would have been pretty handy to have. Because I don't always like to use my phone. It's got this. I was like, why am I not reading these numbers? And it even has the thermometer and the humidity, which is rad.
Boom. That's great.
Especially like if someone deals with like bone like pain and stuff like that. Humidity actually is a number that can help you realize how bad your day is going to be.
That's it's a weird name. It's a
but it's cool, big display. Look at that.
Lilogrin.
And it's really light. It's advertised as one that you could use to travel. So, and it's really light. Like if you'd thrown that in your bag, it's not going to add.
Yeah. Anything. I think I'd still probably just use my phone.
I probably would too, but
it's not bad to have at home.
Yeah. Some people don't like to have their phone near them when they sleep.
One more thing here. Or no, sorry, two more things. Quick, we got a little extra remote. If anybody...
This is a 360 controller.
Xbox 360 will work for Xbox One?
It will also... not for Xbox One, but it will work for PC. So you could use this for Steam games.
So if anybody's out there playing like... I
want to chess the buttons.
What's a soccer car game?
Rocket League.
Rocket League. A couple friends out there are going to be screaming, Rocket League!
This actually...
it's a decent little remote.
For the price, it's like $16.
$16 remote. Not bad. It works for your computer. If anybody gamers out there, check it out. It's what brand is it? It's
I don't even know. It's some off-brand.
Cypher.
But a lot of these don't... Like, the joysticks don't feel smooth. But if you even feel these buttons, like, they're not mushy or anything. Yeah. I prefer a PS4 controller, but that's just me.
What do you got? Last thing.
Yeah, last thing here, I have a USBC Hub, which, if someone doesn't know what that is, it's basically like on the newer Mac computers, and even on some of the Surface Pros, they have one USB port and then they have a USB-C port. What these do is they expand the usefulness of those ports out to other ports that may not be included or may not have enough of those ports.
So to run this podcast, we use the laptop as well. Yeah. And so you need to have extra ports, essentially.
We actually have a few of these that are there. And this one also will
has
work.
It has a SD? Does it have an SD?
Yeah, so it has an SD port, and it also will fit on the new iPad Pros.
Nice. And so RCA. So it's kind of a cool, has multiple different ports. How much is it, you think?
This one is $40. A little under $40.
So these things, guys, we're not actually... Basically, they pay us back when we review these things. So we're not just going out and randomly buying things. Nope. But it's nice to have people just say, hey, we'll pay you if you review this. So, yeah, check them out. Not bad, RCA. Guys, we're going to throw some shower thoughts at you. We're going to do a quick little episode today. Okay, so most of the shower thoughts I have today... or some of them have to deal with the coronavirus, but also have to do with traveling. I was thinking about this a little bit when you're staying in hotel rooms, and I would never personally buy a used mattress myself, but sleeping on one in a hotel is fine.
That's true.
How crazy of a thought is that? Like, obviously they're changing the sheets, but most people don't have a bother thinking about that.
I didn't think about that once when we were there.
All right, so that's my first shower thought.
Okay. Legos live in houses made of their own flesh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Lego people especially.
That's for my son. He's very into Legos.
So if Corona gave free masks with every 6-pack, their sales would skyrocket.
It's so true. Human clothes are designed to cover genitals, and dog clothes are designed to not cover genitals.
Yeah, that's true. So, thinking about the coronavirus in particular, successful viruses don't kill or hurt their hosts, but instead, basically, they just coexist with them peacefully. So, like, for example, if a virus is going to be super successful, it needs to do one of two things. One, it needs to not hurt the host, or two, it needs to be incredibly infectious.
Yes.
And thus far, it appears the corona is just super infectious. Yeah. And the lethality of it is higher than most viruses, but it's not enough to prevent the spread.
Right.
Which is kind of like Ebola. Ebola is super infectious, but it also kills individuals really quickly. Right. Which prevents it from spreading. But unlike herpes virus, doesn't kill the host, doesn't harm the host other than severe pain from the genital lesions or oral lesion.
Oh my gosh.
But
just those two words together.
But it doesn't kill their host, so it's kind of like a more existing whatever you want to call it, environment.
Right. It only takes one slow walking person in the grocery store to destroy the illusion that you're a nice person.
Very true. Or one slow driver in front of you.
It's so true. Especially if that driver like rushed out in front of you and then like went 4 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh. I've never known. No, I have. But I rarely feel as much frustration as when I'm stuck behind a terrible driver.
Or slow walker. There's some slow walkers where I
just
work
jump over
that
them.
walk really slow to the bathroom, and they'll like take up a whole aisleway.
Ooh, yeah, that's not.
And I asked once, or I think my coworker asked once of one of the people, like, why do you walk so slow?
Because they're trying not to poop their pants.
No. They said, I want to break a hip.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not.
Start doing some yoga, buddy.
Yeah.
So, speaking of potty humor, since we're just talking about people walking slow to the restroom,
yeah.
Each day someone poops the biggest poop in the world, but he or she doesn't know it.
Oh, that's so true. It's so gross.
That's so gross, but
so
such
wrong.
a crazy reality.
Okay, amazing thought. What if that was tracked somehow and like it was like you got a notification on your phone? It was like bing, 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 bing.
Everybody, if you did that, if you were the largest poop in the world, you should get like a free car or something. Like you should get an award for that terrible strife you went through.
It just, when the Amber Alert goes off.
Yeah,
that's what it should do every day
on the iPhone. Everybody's iPhone.
Every
gets an
single
alert
phone in the world is
who
like
that person is. Yeah,
like
I've got your face pops.
There's
up.
like a profile picture. Like,
you know, it'd be funny. It would probably be the same person more than once.
Oh, true. Yeah, you're like, ooh, they're on a 2-day streak.
Yeah, kind of funny.
Oh, okay. Being fit makes it look like you're dressed better than you actually are.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Last shower thought I have: if everyone went into a 3-week, actually more like a 4-week isolation, the coronavirus would pretty much end. So if we could just get everybody into an area of isolation, like everybody stay home for 4 weeks.
Good luck with
in
that.
the entire world. We would solve our problem.
If you did that, someone's going to complain about socialism or communism and be mad. They'll start driving trucks and honking horns at the Capitol.
The amount of problems that would solve. Like everybody,
I agree.
Just go home, stay at home for 4 weeks. Boom. Problem solved.
Yeah. I mean, it's 4 weeks
for the most part.
You can't feel every hair on your body, but one hair in your mouth is immediately noticeable.
Very true. Oh, it's terrible.
It's terrible. Have you ever had one like get stuck on your tongue?
I've gotten one stuck in my tooth.
What? In your or just around?
I have really wide gaps in between my teeth.
I mean, you said in your tooth.
Oh, I meant like in between my teeth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, that's all I got, man. We're doing a little quick episode today, guys.
Yeah, me too. I'm good.
Guys, thanks for watching Testing Normal. We appreciate y'all. Tune in next week, and we'll got some more fun stuff to go over. And hope you're all having a fantastic week. Stay safe. Wash your hands, especially before eating, and
after eating,
and after going to the bathroom.
Yeah. Maybe before you go to the bathroom.
Drink lots of water. Start taking vitamins. Get yourself healthy. Get plenty of rest. That's some of the best things you can do for your body to fight off any type of viral infection. Rest. And we love you all. Hope you have a great week. We'll talk to you later.
Episode 51 in the bag.
51. Peace.